Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be when you're watching this. Um, I have some thoughts to share on the Trump indictment. I think it's clear to me, and I think it's pretty clear to most clear thinking Americans that the Biden administration is involved in political persecution, and they're going to do their best to try and obfuscate the issue. And I want to talk about how Americans can stop this from happening. And we have the we have the jury system for a reason. Why do we even have a jury system? Um, the founding fathers did not trust government, and for good reason. And we have the jury system just for that very reason, to serve as a check against this sort of thing that's happening right now to President Trump. Now, our judicial system has been corrupt for a long time. When you go into court, most courts, not all probably, but many courts, they will tell you is when you go in, they have what they call a jury orientation. It's really a jury indoctrination, and depending upon the place where you're at, they will say something like um, along these lines. Well, the jurors, you have a right to decide the facts, but uh, the law, the judge decides the law, and you have to accept the law as the judge gives it to you. And no, they lie. And I'm going to give you an example of this, and it's a federal jury example because that's what President Trump is going to be facing. Looks like, unless at some point the Supreme Court intervenes and stops this prosecution, which they should. Um, this is just one example. And prior to the Civil War, there was a federal law. It was called the Fugitive Slave Act. And and it was targeted against the Underground Railroad. And it was illegal to help a slave escape from slavery. And people were prosecuted under the law. If if a slave ran away from the South into the North and somebody helped them, and there were organized efforts to help them, they were charged with the violation of the Fugitive Slave Act. So what happened was, and that was the law. That was the law passed by Congress and legal. What happened is northern juries began to refuse to convict these people because of the injustice of it. Simple as that. And jurors have the power to do that. They've always had the power to do that. And even if the court tells you otherwise, jurors do have that power. So I'm going to put a link down here to the Fully Informed Jury Association. They have they have good material um, there that explains what your um, it's a good name for the organization, Fully Informed Jury Association. They have material there to fully inform you as to what your rights as a juror are. Now, I suppose if President Trump came out and said and asked his fellow Americans on the jury to acquit him publicly, they would probably accuse him of an additional crime of jury tampering. But no, no, it's not. Jurors have a right to. That's the whole point of the jury system, is as to serve as a check on the government for unjust laws, unjust application of the law, political persecution. And I don't live in Florida. I don't. But if I lived in Florida and I was called to federal grand jury service, and after the going into the courtroom, and they can present all the evidence that they want to about Trump having boxes of records stored in this room or that room. Um, Look at Mar-a-Lago it's a secure facility. There are Secret Service agents there guarding the president. What secrets did he give? Who? What was he doing? Spying on his own records? Was he giving secrets to the enemy? Was he accepting bribes from a foreign country? No. So if I lived in Florida and I was called into jury service, and after they presented it shouldn't get that far. Hopefully it won't. And they presented all the evidence, and the judge told me, well, this is the law, and if you find that President Trump had these records at at Mar-a-Lago, then you have to convict him of under the Espionage Act. You know what? If I were a juror, I would turn to the other jurors in the jury room and I would say, look, this is obvious. This man is obviously being politically persecuted, and there is no way in hell that I'm going to convict him of anything. And the jury should tell the Department of Justice to go to hell. If you like the video, give me a little thumbs up. There's a link down there, especially if you're a Florida juror. Um, Please go to the Fully Informed Jury Association and learn what your rights really are.